Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Tuesday, the 25th day of March. Take a look at some of our tracking indexes for the cattle market. That Missouri Stocker formula based roughly on a 550-pound steer. No surprise with the prices we've seen at the barns this week. It set another all-time new record high, $369.02. Those heifers selling about $40 back now on the calf side. The CME feeder cattle index, of course, based on an 800-pound steer up through the 12-state feeding region. It was a bit higher today, $287.25, but that's about 50 cents below the all-time record high set late last week. Taking a look at some of the highlights early from the auctions around the state today. Of course, several of those auctions don't get started till later in the morning, so still a long ways to go for several of those barns today. We'll start off at Ozarks Regional Stockyards in West Plains. They're expecting to have about 2,500 head today. A couple of stick-out sales there included 43 head of 440-pound steers that sold at $446. 17 head of 511-pound steers at West Plains sold at $392. Traveling a bit to the north now, Lawley Brothers Livestock Market in Macon. They had 3 loads of heifers, 716 to 738 pounds that sold from $285.50 to $285.75. 46 head of 703-pound steers in Macon brought $319.50. At F&T Livestock Market in Palmyra, they're expecting about 1,500 head there today. They sold 34 head of heifers, 527 pounds at $361. Then if we head over to the western side of the state, Kingsville Livestock Auction, they're expecting to have about 2,000 head today. They sold 44 head of light 403-pound steers, tagged as thin flesh, $488. And then 144 head, 722-pound heifers. They were tagged as thin, and they are going to feed, not going back home as replacements. They brought $295. Taking a look at the box beef cutout values, choice jumped significantly today, $8.09 higher, $335.19. Select at $314.05, up 47 cents. Those values based on 126 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds. The Choice Select spread setting at $21.14. Recording this report just a bit early today, so the afternoon negotiated fed cattle trade report not published yet, but it would be an absolute shock to everyone if there was any kind of significant trade at all today with the way that cutout jumped. Taking a look at last week's weighted average prices for negotiated sales, live 212.33, dressed at 335.20. Of course, those feedlots, they're probably going to hold out till the end of the week again this week with those gains in the cutout, hoping to get a few more dollars yet into even higher record prices. Taking a look at the closing futures market, live cattle for April, 206.37 up 47. June at 202.32 up 17. August 198.87 down 17. Feeder cattle for March 286.97 up 37. April 284.85 down 40. May 284.12 down 72. Lean hogs for April 95 cents higher, 86.65. May 89.05 up 50, and June 96.25 up 45. Turning our attention to the grain markets at the elevators around the state today, soybean bids were mixed, 6 lower to 5 higher. Wheat was down a nickel, corn 5 to 7 lower. Corn bids in the St. Louis region, 466 to 467. St. Joe at 437. Kansas City, 417 to 451. Soybean bids, St. Louis, 1021 to 1022. St. Joe, 956 to 981. Kansas City, 946 to 996. Wheat bids in St. Louis, 527 to 543. Kansas City at 523. On the Board of Trade, whole lot of red here other than soybean oil today. Those grain markets just not able to find any fundamental reasons at all to show any gains currently. corn for May down 6 3/4, 457 3/4. July 465 1/4, down 6 3/4. September 442, down 3. Soybeans for May 1001 3/4, down 5 1/2. July at 1015 1/2, down 4. August at 1012 1/2, down 2 3/4. Wheat contracts May 543 1/4, down 5. July 559 3/4, down 5 1/2. September 576 1/2, down 5 1/2. Soybean meal for May down $2.50 a ton, $295.10. Soybean oil for May up 15 cents a hundredweight at $42.30. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's a recap of your markets for Tuesday. This is Tony Hancock.